A siren wails in the distance, its sharp cry swallowed by the thick, humid air of the city. The street is dimly lit, the flickering neon sign of a rundown diner casting a sickly red glow onto the cracked pavement. A lone street lamp hums, its light buzzing like an insect trapped in amber. Officer Daniels tightens his grip on the radio clipped to his shoulder. His pulse thrums beneath his uniform, but his face remains unreadable. He's been here before. Late-night disturbances, uncooperative suspects, the routine drill of control and compliance. He thrives in it. The woman stands a few feet away, back straight, hands steady at her sides. Not defensive, not afraid. Her gaze locks onto him, dark and unreadable. A faint smirk tugs at the corner of her lips, like she knows something he doesn't. Daniels narrows his eyes. "Ma'am, I need you to turn around and place your hands behind your head." The woman doesn't move. The silence stretches, thick and deliberate. In the distance, a car honks, a sharp, impatient sound, then fades into the night. Daniels exhales sharply, stepping closer. His boots grind against the pavement. "I won't ask again." Still, nothing. Then, slowly, deliberately, she tilts her head, just enough to catch the dim glow of the street lamp. Her voice is soft, controlled. "Are you sure you want to do this, officer?" Daniel's jaw tightens. Something about her tone. It's wrong. Too calm. Too certain. A slow dread creeps up his spine. Daniels lets out a low, humorless chuckle. "Ma'am, I don't think you understand how this works." His hand hovers near his holster, not a threat, just a reminder. A silent assertion of power. The woman doesn't flinch, doesn't even blink. Daniels steps closer, the weight of his badge pressing against his chest. "You see, when I tell someone to do something, they do it. Simple as that." His voice is smooth, practiced, confidence laced with condescension. She tilts her head slightly. "Is that how it works?" Daniels smirks. "Yeah, that's how it works." Behind him, his partner shifts, uneasy. A trickle of doubt seeps into the air, but Daniels ignores it. He's been on the force for 10 years. He knows how to handle these situations. Non-compliance is just another problem to solve. "Now," he continues, voice sharpening, "turn around and—" Or what? The question is soft, almost amused. It stops him mid-sentence. Daniel's brow furrows. "Excuse me?" The woman exhales, slow and measured, like she's weighing the moment in her hands. "Or what, officer?" "You'll arrest me? Charge me with something?" Her gaze flickers to his badge, then back to his eyes. "Tell me, do you know who you're dealing with?" His smirk falters for just a second, but it's enough. She sees it. And for the first time, the power in the air shifts, just slightly, just enough. Daniels exhales through his nose, irritation flickering across his face. His smirk is still there, but thinner now, forced. "I don't need to know who you are," he says, voice low. "I just need to know that you're resisting arrest." The woman watches him, head tilted slightly, studying, assessing. Daniels doesn't like it. His fingers twitch near his belt. "Last chance. Hands behind your head." She sighs, slow, deliberate, like she's disappointed. Then she finally moves. Not to comply, but to reach into her coat pocket. Daniels reacts instantly. "Hands where I can see them, now!" His partner stiffens, hand hovering over his own weapon. The street, once a passive backdrop, now feels suffocatingly silent. The neon diner sign flickers, but the woman doesn't rush. No sudden moves, just precise, controlled motion as she pulls out a small leather wallet. Click. It flips open. Daniel's smirk vanishes. A badge. The street feels different now. Heavier. Tighter. Daniel's eyes flick between the badge and the woman holding it. The letters stare back at him, cold and official. FBI. His throat bobs. A bead of sweat traces his temple. This is a joke, he mutters. But his voice isn't as firm as before. His fingers twitch. His stance shifts, just slightly, uncertainty creeping in like a slow poison. The woman doesn't move, doesn't gloat. She doesn't need to. The badge speaks for itself. His partner exhales sharply, stepping back like he wants to detach himself from whatever's about to happen. A smart move. Daniels clenches his jaw. "I don't care who you are," he says, but there's a crack in his confidence now. "You're still interfering with—" "No, Officer Daniels," she interrupts, her voice like cut glass. "You're interfering with my investigation." The words land like a gunshot. His breath catches. His heartbeat pounds against his ribs. Then she takes a slow step forward, close enough that only he can hear the next part. "We've been watching you." Daniels freezes. His face drains of color. And in that single moment, the power, his power, shatters. Daniels doesn't speak. He can't. The weight of her words crushes the air from his lungs. "We've been watching you." His pulse hammers against his skull. His mind races. How much do they know? How long have they been watching? The woman lets the silence hang, lets it seep into his bones. Then, with excruciating slowness, she reaches into her pocket again. Another badge, another revelation. Number A folded sheet of paper. She flicks it open and holds it up just enough for him to see. His stomach drops. A federal warrant. His name is on it. His partner takes another step back, horror dawning across his face. The diner door swings open in the distance, a few curious onlookers stepping out. Eyes on him, watching, whispering. The woman leans in just slightly, her voice barely above a whisper. "You thought you were untouchable." A beat. "You're not." A pair of black SUVs pull up to the curb. Doors open. Agents step out. Daniels stumbles back, panic tightening his throat. "Officer Daniels," the woman says, voice steady, commanding. "You're under arrest." As the cuffs snap shut around his wrists, his world implodes. She watches him for a moment, then turns, walking away without looking back. Power restored. Case closed.